Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/best of for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This post was collected by Lucy Aria Rose, and their tagline is, of course, "I'm keeping the garlic." This was originally posted in r/Am I the Asshole by Potential Pie 7714. February 3rd, 2025. Am I the asshole for blaming my nephew for using my credit card without my permission? So let me start off with, I'm pretty bad at checking the details of my bank statements, but recently something wasn't right. So I went through every single one for the past year, and there were over 100 charges from PlayStation. I only had 4 purchases on my 2 PS accounts in a single year, so I panicked as someone had my credit card info. In all, the total charges were around $1,500. I contacted both of my siblings, whose kids also have accounts, and asked nicely if their kids may have purchased anything using my bank account before I make a dispute. Both said no. So I went ahead and called both PlayStation and my bank. The bank was able to charge back the past few months, and the rest is under investigation. Well, a few days later, I get a frantic call from my teenage nephew who says his PlayStation account was permabanned. I asked him if he was sure he didn't buy anything with a credit card after I gave him several $100s of PlayStation gift cards for his birthday this summer to spend on stuff. He again denied. So I have his email logins, and sure enough, it was purchases he made to his account. All the stuff he plays. Then he starts to say maybe he bought a few items here and there. Now my sister is pissed at me. She says I must have added my credit card info to buy him something at some point in time. And it was my fault. He was making purchases from my card. If it were her credit card, she'd get an alert. Never that he may have taken my credit card info. No. She doesn't want him to lose his account and said she'll call PlayStation to pay for it all. She said he always asks and she gets alerts and doesn't understand that I didn't. So I shouldn't blame him. I said, well, he knew he was spending someone else's money, so why is it my fault? And that he stopped asking her for permission to make purchases because no one stopped him. After that, she said I was blaming her kid for everything. So am I the asshole here? Edit for info, he's almost 15, I'm unsure how he got my payment info. So one thing that I do want to add is that his account suspension probably stated that he was suspended for irregular payment activity. And the fact that he knew who to call when that suspension happened tells me a lot of things that I need to know. Anyways, some of OP's comments. Commenter, you're not the asshole and I'm really worried for your nephew. His mother is completely incompetent and she seems determined to send her boy out into the world without even the most basic ethics and standards. You're not gonna change her. She just doesn't have the intelligence and morals to make reasonable choices or to treat people with the most basic respect. I would not interact with her. OP responds, and this is certainly not the first time he's been in deep trouble. I was very shocked with how she reacted, as she is usually not like this. Sad face emoji. Another commenter, not the asshole. Nephew shouldn't have been making purchase with credit card that wasn't his. It was financially risky to use your credit card one time without making sure that the data was not saved, but that doesn't make you the asshole. When you asked if they made purchases, that was the time for him to fess up. He didn't. And these are the consequences. Support article says the ban for debt should be lifted once they pay off the balance. I don't know if a chargeback is different, but this support article might be helpful. And they gave a PlayStation support article that gives details on how they can go about fixing and reinstating the account's ban. OP responds, thank you. I honestly don't remember if I put my credit card info in there at some point in time, but someone his age would be able to recognize they are using unaccounted for funds. And thank you for the info. I'm willing to work with my sister if she changes her tone. We're typically very civil. OP replies to top comment, which is missing for some reason. I already canceled that card and will make sure to add alerts. I don't have many credit cards, but I will be sure to on those as well. Thank you. Another commenter, I think she, OP, used it, credit card, to buy something from a PlayStation site and it was saved on there. OP responds, and that I'm not even sure of. The accounts have been there for years. It's possible he punched it himself, but I typically buy gift cards for that stuff. Another commenter comments, did you buy the gift cards to the PlayStation store? OP responds, nope, I got a PlayStation gift card from Amazon. He claims he only made purchases with those funds. Commenter, not the asshole, but you're an idiot for not keeping track of your finances. Over hundreds of transactions for $1,500 and you never noticed? Crazy. OP responds, after the tally, most of the purchases were in the last 2 months. The last month was the holidays, so I figured I spent a bit much. Before was approximately $100 a month, which can easily go under someone's radar. To another commenter, it started off very slow last February. The last 2 months were heavy. I didn't flinch after the holidays because I was spending lots of money. After going through January bills is when I knew something was very off. But yes, they started to become more frequent after a while. Commenter, why do you have his email logins exactly? Make it a better reason than ChatGPT could come up with. OP responds, I helped set it up. I must be an asshole. I also just want to add real quick, this post has a lot of grammar and linguistic mistakes that ChatGPT just does not make. In fact, they're more in line with keyboard flubs and fingers hitting the wrong characters. So, it's not AI generated. Commenter, creating a PSN account requires an email address to register. If OP created Nephew's PSN account and Nephew did not already have an email address of his own, OP may have also created an email account for Nephew. I did this for my nephews when I gave them my PS4 a few years ago. My nephews don't even know about the email accounts yet. And OP responds, yes, this is what happened. My sister is terrible with technology and I helped him set up the account. And an update, same post, February 5th, 2025, 2 days later. After an intense argument, she was still denying he made the charges at all. I was finally able to show her each and every transaction. Before, I had only explained and she didn't believe me. After seeing the evidence, he finally fessed up. He claimed he thought it was her card. She will be paying me for all the money he used on my account and will not be getting the PS5 back until he works to pay it off. Even then, she may not let him have it. He insists that he will be paying us both double for troubles, but the real damage done here is the trust I have in both of them. There's pretty much nothing that'll be able to convince me that the kid wasn't doing this at least on purpose, and definitely had an idea of what he was doing. Like, even if in the hypothetical he thought that he was using his mom's card to make the purchases and was asking her and she was saying yes, the mom gets notifications. She probably should have then started asking questions. Hey, you said you made a purchase, but I didn't get a notification for it. What's up with that? You're telling me that he asked for over $1,500 worth of PlayStation stuff and you never once got a notification from him and asked questions of where's the money coming from? So, I doubt that he could have made that kind of mistake if he was actually being an honest, good, sweet little child and asking for permission every time he made a purchase. So, I do find it likely that either OP had accidentally used their credit card on their account to make a purchase and it saved the details and they were able just to keep using it. Or, on a more malicious side, the nephew found the card and took a photo of both sides of it and just had free reign of it. And not to mention, he's 15. He's not like a 7 or an 8-year-old who got access to their parents' credit card because they purchased V-Bucks for them and made the mistake there and then they just kept buying and buying and buying and $30,000 of credit card debt later. There we are. This is a 15-year-old who should be fully understanding of what money is and the monetary value behind things. So I have every doubt in the world that he accidentally used the wrong card, especially with the fun little appropriate teenage excuse of, oh, I thought I was using my mom's card. So here's to hoping the mom punishes him for intending to spend over $1,500 on her card without her permission. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, of course, Satan is not a pogo stick. Originally posted to r/am_I_the_asshole by u/secret Tetris fan. Originally posted April 24th, 2019. Am I the asshole for not telling my boyfriend I'm good at Tetris? Throwaway because my boyfriend uses Reddit. 18 female here with an 18 male boyfriend. We are freshmen in college. He's a big gamer, specifically loves League of Legends, but only plays this when I'm not with him since it's time consuming. I, however, am not a gamer. The only games I've played are classic games like Pokemon, Super Mario, Mario Kart, etc. Just fun games that are low commitment. However, I grew up playing Tetris with my dad, and it was a great way for us to bond and I got really good at it. I told my boyfriend I grew up playing Tetris but never played with him. Sometimes I play video games with my boyfriend and I always lose. I don't care since it's only for fun and he knows I'm not as skilled as him. We were playing Call of Duty, something he's very experienced at, and while I've only played it a couple of times since I don't have a game system for it, as expected, I kept losing. But I still had fun and overall was a good sport about it. Then I asked him if he wants to play Tetris, since we both had our laptops and can easily connect to battle. He agreed, still in a good mood from demolishing me in COD. I was excited to see his reaction since I was planning to go hard as soon as we started. We connected, the game began, and I beat him in under 2 minutes. I was laughing, not at him for losing, but because he was surprised. But reading his face, I quickly realized he was mad. He said, "Let's go again." So we did. I beat him exactly the same way as the first round. He quietly started a new round. This time, I felt bad and went slower, but seeing this, he force quit the game, took his laptop and stormed off to play League. I was left there, my screen still on Tetris, just stunned he reacted this way. He said, "I'm not gonna play against someone who's been playing for years," and started League, knowing he's gonna leave me alone for 45 minutes, average time per game, just in his room. I said, "Wait, you've been playing COD for years. I can't beat you at my game once?" He scoffed and put his soundproof headphones on as his match or whatever was starting. I picked up my laptop and just went home without a word. He later texted about 3 hours later with, "So, no caller update with where you are or what you're doing? Probably playing Tetris or something so you make sure you win." I simply replied, "I'm just at home." He's blown up my phone with 40 plus calls that I've been dodging. Am I the asshole for beating him at a game I'm actually good at? Before we get to the comments, I just want to state no. Your boyfriend just has an incredibly fragile ego, and this might be a bit of the mask slipping and him showing who he really might be. Anyways, relevant comments. OP responding to a deleted comment. I was actually considering breaking up over this because it showed how truly immature he is, but felt a bit irrational and emotional, but I think you're right. Stolid agnostic responds, "You feel guilty about feeling that way. That's fine. It doesn't change reality though. Sometimes your gut feelings and intuitions prove themselves later in a very strong way." Lady Kate the Great responds, "Do it. I'm unbeatable at Connect 4. Never had a guy behave like that. Usually he buys the game, we play for 30 minutes tops, I win, and we don't ever play again. This has happened like 3 times. He's a child mentally if he can't handle losing. I wouldn't be surprised if he can't share either. I would look for a good breakup album to get you through. I think Hyg's first album would help. It's all about girl power and doing the breakup. Good luck, lady." OP responds to this. Wow, he actually doesn't like sharing food, like snaps at me if I try to take a chip or two from him. God, I appreciate/hate this thread because I feel so stupid for falling for a guy like this, but realize how truly toxic he is. I'll be sure to check that album out, like very soon. Thanks for the recommendation. In a new comment thread, we fight forever. Not the asshole, his fragile masculinity isn't your responsibility. It's totally fine to surprise him with some sick Tetris skills. OP responds, "For some reason I felt like there was a chance I was also a jerk in this because, at least in the games we played, I knew beforehand he was good, but you're totally right that his masculinity is too fragile over a Tetris game." Player Piano Player responds to the thread, "You'd think with you guys both playing games and it being important to him, he'd be excited to find out there was a game you were great at and enjoyed playing. Instead, his childish ego got in the way. It will probably also get in the way of a lot of his other thinking and decision making. You're right about considering cutting loose." And OP responds to that with, "My exact thoughts. I was hoping he'd be happy to finally have some competition because my older brothers and dad love when I'm actually a challenge for them when it comes to games." Imagine the mammoth comments. Not the asshole. He's acting like a petulant child, and it does make me wonder what else can be underneath this reaction. Is it because he lost? Sore loser. Is it because he's the gamer? Then he's gatekeeping and has a very fragile ego. Is it because you're a girl? Sexist. I know it seems like I'm overthinking, but as a girl gamer, I've been through those sort of things. Not with boyfriends specifically, but still. Lastly, how the hell do you play a Pokemon game without committing? Like every time I pick up a Pokemon game, it consumes my soul. OP responds, "Completely forgot sexism could be a factor. Thanks for bringing that up. I thought it was mainly gatekeeping, but it could very well be a combination of all the reasons you listed. And LOL, I'll admit Pokemon can definitely consume my soul. I just have not picked it up after the Diamond and Pearl generation since I kind of felt it got too complicated after that. Haha." Generic Deviant 666 responds, "Not the arsehole, very immature, and even if he doesn't know it or mean it, it's borderline abusive." OP responds, My friends think this is abusive as well, but I wasn't sure they said this because they're my friends. Thank you for the unbiased insight. Bluesifer. Not the asshole, what a baby. God damn, I bet he's an awful teammate in the league too. OP responds, in the past he told me he got banned a couple times and didn't say why. Today I learned games have a better understanding of guys than me. Deleted user comments, not the asshole, sounds like a big red flag. And OP responds, unfortunately through rose-colored glasses, all the red flags look like regular flags. Thanks, Bojack. I'm in the process of thinking how to break up safely. His short temper is worrying me. Lazy Addy. Not the asshole, this is two massive red flags. Hell, I would break up over this. Not only does he get pissed at you, he's still angry at you hours later and continues to blame you. 40 plus calls, no matter what he says, that is not being caring. That's controlling stalking stuff. At best, he's a man-child with a fragile ego who doesn't respect you and needs to be in charge and in control of your life. And at worst, you've yet to see his true abusive side. How would you feel if your friend or sister dated a guy like that? How does your hopefully ex-boyfriend compare to your dad or any good guy that could compare him to? Whatever you do, use your brain and don't stick around because you're lonely or because he falsely tries to guilt trip / gaslight you. OP responds, I just told him, how would you feel if your mom dated a guy behaving as you are? Separate parent household, but his mom has a long-term boyfriend. He said that's irrelevant because his parents don't play games. So he's completely missing the point. I'm wondering how to break up with him safely. He's being way out of line and I'm afraid his short temper will put me in danger. The general verdict, of course, was not the asshole. OP updates the post 5 days later, April 28, 2019, after a separate update post was not approved. Update. I broke up with him through text after realizing this would be the last straw. He begged for me back and said he had a bad day. But lately, every day has been bad, and carrying this emotional burden is too much and taking a mental and academic toll on me. He said this is making him suicidal, and said if he dies, it's my fault. Blocked him on everything and he began contacting my friends, who I told to block him immediately if they received any messages from him. I told my brother I was scared because he had violent tendencies and he gave me a pepper spray. We went outside our house so he can show me how to use it, and I saw a car outside that looked just like my now ex's, but it wasn't him and I just broke down crying because I'm so scared. I'm gonna talk to campus police tomorrow and let them know my situation. I'm also worried that if he kills himself, if I have any legal implications, but I have screenshots of our conversations if need be. Thank you to everyone for your kind advice. I was truly blinded by this asshole and hope you guys have partners with a healthy competitive drive. In my eyes, while this post was at this point almost 6 years ago, breaking up with him was definitely the correct option here, because if he is in the position where he just likes to put you into games where he can win at and enjoys just beating you at them, and then the moment that he plays a game that he's not good at and loses, and suddenly it's, I don't want to play a game that you've played so many years of. It's very clear just how immature and just toxic his just general outlook on life is. A gamer who is afraid to lose is a gamer who's afraid to improve. As an example, I've been doing a little bit of Marvel Rivals in my downtime to wind down, and I'm a Penny Parker main. They're essentially a multiversal variant of Peter Parker, and they control a giant spider mech. Very cool, very fun, one of my favorites to play. Biggest problem is that it's very rare for me to fight a Penny Parker that actually challenges me or I can learn new things from. And every time I see a Penny Parker main in the lobby, I end up switching to Penny Parker and trying to figure out if I can learn something from them. And normally they end up switching off, which kinda sucks. But like, I wanna lose so I can learn from that loss and get better at that character. And that's just a healthy mindset to have. There's nothing wrong with losing as long as you're willing to learn from it. But if you're putting yourself in a position where you can only win, you're gonna get stagnant and you're gonna end up in positions where you're just going to kind of fall behind your peers. If I were to guess, he probably plays jungle in League like a goddamn psychopath. Honestly, that's kind of ironic because I used to be a jungle Shaco main. So, for those of you who play League, you know what kind of person I am. This post was collected by Choice Evidence 1983, and their tagline is, "It dawned on me that he was a wizard." Originally posted to r/amItheasshole. Posted by you/Triandalun. Posted February 8th, 2025. Sorry, but today, our house is not the house. For reference, we, me 45 male, wife 44, kids 12-year-old boy, 10-year-old girl, 6-year-old boy-girl twins. are always the host of our kids' friend group. Our 12-year-old son plays club soccer, AAU basketball, so often the worlds merge like today for his birthday. I myself grew up one of 4 boys, so I'm fully aware of a rambunctious full household. We always overstock snacks and food, knowing we usually have 4+ kids in the house with friends coming over, ride shares and overnights. Typically, I don't care, actually love the extra company. Both my sons and daughters' friends are respectful and a pleasure to be around. But I'm starting to wonder if our openness is being taken advantage of. As I mentioned, today is our 12-year-old's birthday. A friend, who is here often, usually without planning, already slept over last night to attend the party. Okay, cool, no problem. Well, this morning, my wife wakes up with a fever and our twins are both chucking buckets. My wife and the twins stay home from the party, which was at a different location and devastated her. While at the party, the parents of the friend who had slept over the previous night asked if he could sleep at our house again tonight. This was never part of the plan. I responded immediately no, and explained the situation with people being sick. I can see they read the text, but no response from the parents. After the party, I drive the friend to his house, and sure enough, he's locked out. Nobody's home. I bring him to our house, texting the parents they need to come get their kid. Again, read. No response. It's been 2 hours now, and according to the kid's parents' Facebook, they're at a brewery. I'm livid. Am I the asshole to tell those parents we're not their babysitter and to come get their kid? I feel bad because he's a good kid and friends with my son. But if a sick wife and unpredictable puking twins ain't a line in the sand, I don't know what is. Am I the asshole has no consensus bot, but OP was not the asshole. Relevant and top comments. OP shouldn't take it out on the kid, but give the parents a talk. OP responds, yeah, we're fully aware now there might be issues at home, especially considering the given circumstances. Commenter 1. This is how a good friendship can die. You start having the kid less and less because of the terrible parents, not the asshole. OP responds, that's actually what I want to avoid, but I feel as they get older, the kid is an only child, it's going to get worse. General common sentiment of the OP should have taken the kid to his parents at the brewery. OP responds, as much as I wanted to do this, my family's sickness became a point where I wasn't comfortable leaving them alone. Commenter 2. That is when you send them a text that they have 20 minutes to get there, or your next call is to the police for child abandonment. Then, after 20 minutes, you call the police. If that ends the friendship, well, that's too bad. Not the asshole. Commenter 3. Comment on their Facebook post saying, hey, we told you this morning when you asked that your child could not stay over again because our family is sick. Come get him right now. Public shame can go a long way. Commenter 4. There's a reason why that kid is a regular unexpected guest at your house. Whatever you do, document everything. Save messages, screenshots, notes, whatever. I suspect that record will come in useful to someone at some point. Editor's note, OP updated in the same post. Update February 8th, 2025. Same day, 6 hours later. Wow. First of all, thanks for all the respectful comments and feedback. A lot of people asked for updates and I wasn't quite sure how to do so here it is. After reading some of the comments, I felt like calling CPS or the police was a nuclear option that would ultimately lead to negative long-term consequences to both the friend and my son. He's a good kid. Keeping him here and safe is not a burden, nor do I think his parents are chronically neglectful. My response to the parents was basically reiterating all your comments. Although I didn't lay out a specific time period or third-party involvement, I did make it very clear future engagements would be severely restricted going forward if the disrespect, from the parents, not the kid, continued. I was apologized to in person several times when they showed up. An excuse was coming and I quickly interrupted stating, I like your kid, he's a good kid, don't take us away from him. That must have struck a nerve with mom because I could see her fighting a tear. Hopefully that sinks in and we can go forward from this. Again, thank you all. Relevant comments. OP might have been a safe haven for the kid. OP responds, being thought of as a safe haven for other kids is probably the greatest achievement I'll get. Thank you. Mad respect to OP for not going a nuclear option like Reddit's recommended and actually just being a better adult about it and kind of shaming the parents in one of the worst ways possible that a parent could be shamed in. So, good for them. Honestly, when it mentioned being taken advantage of, my first thought was going to be that the kids were taking advantage of the parents, and I am glad that the kids are actually just very respectful and kind and not the problem here. The problem is the parents who thought they could pawn their kid off to their friend's parents as a babysitter and get a few free nights of them sleeping over so they could go to a brewery and have some fun. There's nothing wrong, by the way, with pawning your kids off for a sleepover and going and having a night off, as long as the other parents are entirely consenting of this action. That's the big difference. One is child neglect, the other is getting some responsibilities lifted off, and your kid's gonna have a great time for one night and you get to have a great time for one night. But I do hope the parents have learned from this and they're not going to pull this shit again, because this is definitely a slippery slope, and if it happens again, I do hope that OP doesn't hesitate to get the proper authorities involved. Because like some of the comments were suggesting, there's probably a reason why the kid enjoys being at his friend's house so much. But kind of a personal story that I kind of remembered once upon a time, thinking that it was the kids that were taking advantage of the situation. I once had a quote-unquote friend in high school. Now, this friend had reasonably strict parents that put limitations on how much video games he could play per day. This is important because he would try to find any way he could possibly get around them. Well, one time, he texted me, because at this point we were going to different schools, and asked if he could spend the night at my place tonight because he missed hanging out. I was like, yeah, dude, it's been a while, so why the hell not? So he comes over, I make sure I get the green light from my parents, and then he sets up his laptop. I'm like, cool, what are we playing? He's like, oh, I'm actually gonna play with my buddy here, and we're gonna do CSGO tonight. I was like, oh, so you just want to be at my house so you can play CSGO uninterrupted. That's cool. Great. Turns out, though, he didn't get permission from his parents. So he got a very angry phone call from his parents, and yeah, that was messy. Didn't hang out with him after that, because his parents thought I was the bad influence. So that was cool. Don't forget, this is brought to you by GamerSupps. Use code ODDS at checkout. It's basically a caffeine powder that you put in your water, and I actually really like it. I use this on a daily basis. Don't forget that every purchase you make using code ODDS directly supports the channel. And if you want a personal recommendation from me, I would either recommend the Soda Pressing Pear or Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are currently my favorite flavors. And as a note, once we sell a certain amount of stuff, I get my own flavor and my own cup, and you all know I'm gonna choose some degenerate shit that's gonna make their PR team squirm. My goal is to make them regret partnering with me. So please, use code ODDS at checkout to make my dream come true of making a PR team squirm.